man and bright summer Indiana afternoons. "Now that," offered Cat after several seconds of heavy silence, "was weird." The mayor turned to the elder town councilman and chuckled. The latter responded in kind. Soon all the townsmen were laughing, and laughing, with the break of the tension, and with the relief that maybe after all the horror of the past few months and nobody else was laughing. Not Cat, peering disgustedly down from his perch above them, none of the other members of the crew, and not Jack Crow, whose look of withering disdain turned them pale to a man. When they had gotten very quiet for a very long 5 seconds, Jack said, "The leader shouldn't have popped first. He usually sends everyone else ahead." "How—" began the mayor before his voice cracked. He cleared his dry throat and tried again. "How do you know it was the leader?" Jack lit a cigarette and stared at the ground. "After a while," he replied softly, "you can tell." He stood there quietly like that for several seconds. Then he looked at them, actually looked at the individual townsmen for the first time. It had wilted them. The horror, the losses, the sense of total naked impotence. Wilted. And it was only going to get worse. "So what," he thought next, "are you going to do when it's over, gents? When your town has seen you as worthless and craven, and you feel your manhood has been stomped? Are you going to do what others have tried? Are you going to take it out on us? When it's over, are you going to cheat us to show you're still men? Because it really is going to get worse. That was just the first one." "All right," he barked abruptly, clapping his hands sharply together. "Let's get on with it. Rock and roll." And they did. And it did get worse. The second eruption was a howler and a screecher, again vile and terrifyingly fast, and the black, bloody flecks fountained when the bolt struck it and slammed it back down, and still it would not die until long seconds after one of the crew had punctured its skull with his pike. It was horribly gruesome. It was a broad daylight nightmare. It was a woman each townsman had known for over 40 years. After the school teacher came the local postmaster, the prom queen, and her fullback fiancé, some hapless young college girl with the irreversible misfortune to blow a tire on a country lane that actually was dark and long but only appeared empty. The usual. But there was something wrong with the proportions. "9 in all, counting the leader," said Anthony, reading from Cat's clipboard, an hour and a half after the last appearance. "But only 3 goons." He looked up from the page at his boss. "They weren't very busy, were they?" Crow took the clipboard from his hand and glanced at it. "Nope," was his only response. Both men looked up at the sound of the jeep returning up the driveway bearing Cat and the graveyard team. One of the townsmen approached them while they unloaded empty cans of soil coagulant and tossed them into the back of the semi. "Do you think there's another pit somewhere?" asked Anthony after a few seconds. Crow looked at his questioner, whose bull neck and massive shoulders remained taut from the pressure of the day. Crow decided he looked awful after 5 hours of slaughter. Decided that was probably good. "No," he answered. "This is it. I never heard of them keeping goons somewhere else. New ones need to be around the leader anyway." "Then how come—" "Damn it, Anthony! I don't know why they didn't turn more recently. Maybe they had something else to do." "Like what?" Anthony wanted to know. Crow sighed. They always came to him with questions like this. He was the elder veteran, 3 years at it now, and probably had, in fact, the longest career of this type in the world. But that didn't mean he knew shit about vampires. Nobody knew shit about vampires. Nobody lived long enough to learn, and it pissed him off the way they all looked at him to know all the answers. What right did they— He caught himself, took a deep breath. He looked again at Anthony, who had been an all-pro outside linebacker with the Seattle Seahawks when Crow had hired him. A man who was deeply loyal, sharply intelligent, and one of the bravest human beings he had ever seen, and who goddamn well deserved an answer from the man who claimed to be his boss and leader. "I'm sorry, buddy. I just don't know." Crow told the pikeman to stand at ease, brought the demo bunch in to punch the last of the charges deep into the rubble, and went over to talk to Cat, who still stood chattering away with the townsmen. On the way, he passed the local priest, Father Hernandez, stepping dully forward to turn his trick over the 9 piles of ashes. Crow swallowed the resentment the old man's sighing gait brought up in him. Priests. "Call it Joplin juice, on account of Carl Joplin, the guy who put it together for us," Cat was saying to the mayor and another man whose name Crow didn't recall. "It just makes it hard to climb up out of."